Hello, my friends. Let's hold on. Let me make sure that. All right, we're live. Good. We're gonna be going over the London system. It's a line that from our studies. So it's the Slav system. It's actually from Play the London system, and it's the Slav setup. All right, d4, d5, bishop f4, c6, e3, bishop f5, and c4. This is the Slav setup. We can go over the Slav. Alright, I'm thinking about just going over chapter. I believe chapter 1 has a good one too, because this one is with knight f. There's I'm gonna check to see which ones we want. No, let me see. That's good. Here we go. This one is a pretty interesting setup here. C5. Now this is more of the Mason attack pawn setup, and it's a pretty popular one. We'll go over 3. And what you have to do is you got to be really careful here, because what could happen is c3, c6, and remember we talked about if you play knight f3. He has this type of a setup here. Remember, we talked about it. This allows for the attacking, and you lose there, so you can't do that. You don't want to do this. This is bad for and that's why we play knight excuse me, knight d2. That's why we play knight d2. e6 is played. Knight g f3. In some lines, because of excuse me, if white didn't play if white didn't play this pawn move, but let's say white played g3, what we would do at this point is we would develop our bishop, because you have to wait for the right moment. Hey, how you doing, Morphe? And so you have to be careful. That's why when you play, remember the key to when e6 is played, you can actually play knight f3. So we'll come back here. Let's say d5, bishop here. We'll just say he plays this move, and then we play e3, and then let's say he decides I want to play e6. At this point, you can play knight to f3, because it stopped. There's no more bishop f5 after all this lines, all this the queen here. Remember, the knight's there. Oops, the knight's here. Queen comes out. Remember, then you come back and this pawn pushes. I know there's a lot of lines there, but just remember, if your opponent right off the bat, let's say they go e6, because they want to start the French defense, you can actually start the Peter London system with this, and then let's say they play here. You can set up your London system at that point, just the standard London system, and then you can play knight there. Queen comes out. You don't need to worry about your queen coming here if you don't want to. It could, and then if they make a mistake, this is actually a blunder here. So this is a mistake. I'm going to give it a mistake mark because it's actually a mistake. That's actually a mistake. The best line in this would be something similar to a bishop e7 with castles would be a more interesting. This would be a more interesting line right here. More of an interesting line. So, and if if you didn't want to go queen to b6, you also have bishop d6, which is another interesting line setup as well. because I consider that another interesting line as well, because this is it's a pretty, it's a good move. I wouldn't give it an exclam, but it forces this, and then this is a interesting setup. Some will actually take and then try to lock their get their knight developed. But if you were wanting to do that, instead of coming here, if you wanted to be more positional, you could have actually at this point, wait a second, we don't want to do, okay, e6, bishop f. If you want to be more of a positional player here, oops. Let me see, you could play f5, knight here. It's interchangeable. Here, here, bishop takes, queen takes. You don't really want to exchange on this scenario right here, because you got to be careful after this. You always have he always has b6, and this is a really strong move. I'd give it I'd give it an exclam setup move, because of it's a really strong move. You could try to get your knight in here, but white gets rid of black gets rid of its bad bishop. So that's why b6 is really strong, is to set up this right here. So you have to wait before you you want to wait until, let me see here, where is this? Here, bishop there. Let's say we play bishop here, and then he drops his knight. Now this would be a slight mistake here. This would be a dubious move, in my opinion. You wouldn't want this to be, you wouldn't want to play this, because you lose the opportunity. It takes 2 moves to trade off your light square bishop, and at this point you could take bishop takes, queen takes, and then you can actually excuse me, you could play more of a Kramnik game with here, bishop comes out, and knight comes in, and then if he castles, you have knight fd3, and you have more of a positional bind. You have a slight edge, a very slight edge here. This is a really strong setup, and this would actually be a mistake. c4 is a mistake, so you don't want to actually play c4. That loses. You have to remember that you have to keep the bind. Either trade or you try to get your other pieces going. Like a5 is a pretty good move. So this is what was actually played here. And this is a it's not a, it's kind of a mix of a I'm not going to say dubious. It's just a slight. I'm not going to. Well, I guess I would. I don't know really what to call it. It's not a bad move. Maybe I really don't want to call it a dubious move, because it's not really a dubious move. It just hurts your position. It's not the best move. So I guess I could call it a slightly dubious move. I guess I'll put an interesting move. It's not a bad move. It's not a good move. It's interesting. It's not dubious either. It's just you're gonna have to now, if your opponent knows the line, they'll be able to. This is a really interesting. This is a good move. This is a good move here. Yeah, marginal. I'm trying to see if there's any symbols that have that. Let me see. Attack, initiative, development, counterplay, time trouble, compensation. This is with idea. There we go. I'll put that. This is with an idea. That's good. So yeah, and then the reason this is played here is so that if black does try this, this could actually be played here. And so this move right at this point, I consider this one almost a, in my opinion, a slight mistake. And this is actually a really good move. This is a really strong move at this point, because this doesn't have the same teeth. And then this right here is a pure out blunder. I'm going to give that a blunder move because you lose a whole piece there. Or it I guess it could be an in between dubious slash blunder, but I consider it a blunder because you lose a whole entire piece in that line. You think your idea, if you play autopilot, you're going to get into trouble. Castles, bishop d3, rook e8. Excuse me, let me get a drink real quick. Hold on. Okay, so bishop takes, pawn takes. Now we have a potential close to a Greek gift setup almost. Castles. You could actually at this point play a potential, but the only problem is now that the rook's moved, you don't have the same Greek gift potential because he can actually run. But if this rook was back here, the Greek gift would work. It'd be a better Greek gift. So knight f5, knight f3, a6, castles, bishop b5, and a5. An interesting move. Rook b8. This is so that he can pound on right on through with b4, I believe. Yeah, b4. A takes, pawn takes. Now we surrender the open file right there. That's it. We get this whole open file here. It's controlled by this bishop. By the rook. You can actually at this point you can play a3 here, takes, bishop, and then b3. And at this point, this is a really interesting move. Rook b6 is really strong because this fortifies the position. Rook f, and then g6, which was very dubious. Because if you play g6 now, what are you trying to stop? You actually make this is a bad move right here. This move here is bad. You don't want this because this just makes it so that white has an opportunity to go h4 and then h5 and opens up the position. So I'll put marks there so you'll see the ideas kind of behind it. b3, bishop b7, h4 is the idea basis. Queen e7 here. This is to prepare f5 at the right moment, because we have to get some protectorates over. But if you notice, the majority of white's pieces are on the queen side there. So this kind of would be a slight mistake. You really wouldn't. You would kind of get any attack would have to take. You have to take at that point. So bishop f4, and this does. This is actually a way to hold as well. And then h5. Now here he's coming up the board with a tremendous attack. Queen G3, G7, and then H6. Now we have a potential for some sort of sacrifices, which could be playable. Now that everything's locked down on the king side, we're going to have to start playing on the side that we're the strongest, and so we'd probably want to we'd want to somehow open this up. See, our idea is rook A8. We could potentially take here. See, if we were planning, we could take here. If he took there, we actually push, and now we have some pretty tremendous of an attack that's coming down the pike. And if they take, we have this open file now that's potentially playable. We did gambit a pawn, but now we have this diagonal that's under our control. But you have to make sure all your lines work though. So E2, bishop E2, rotakes, and black's really cramped. And if what they're saying here is taking here, bishop takes. Now we've got a pretty good bind with our E5 pawn, or E5 pawn's huge. This is very vital, so I'll put a circle around it. It can only be attacked 3 times, which that means it could be defended 3 times. So we're good to go. We also have the 2 bishops, so at the right moment we're going to be wanting to open the center here. Queen D, and we're noticing, if you notice, there's targets. Queen C, rook D, so now we're doubling up. Bishop C6 is forced. Knight G5 is a good move, really good move, because the next idea is adding one more attacker here. If we're just going to say that the rook comes to B7, this is actually a mistake. We're just going to do that. This right here smacks right in the face. And if he takes, then this is going to fall. It still holds. It's still okay. It's probably more of a dubious move. I'm probably going to switch it to dubious. It's not a bad move. It's more of a reactive move. But now, now that we have the bishop for a bishop attack here, you can always trade down with some sort of an attack via this way here. Now that you have this bishop, it's pinned the knight to the queen, so you're in deep trouble. So this is a vital pin. Knight E4, rook B8, and then now we jump our knight in. Now our knight wants to go there. E4. If the knight took here, this actually only betters us. This is better for us because of where our knight's planted now. So I'd give this a mistake. I'd give this move a mistake, because now there's nothing that can kick this knight out. This knight's implanted there indefinitely. The only way that it would get kicked out would be by this knight here. This knight is super duper powerful right there. So that's why he played that. It's an interesting move. This idea is white has black has an outpost now, and the idea behind it is a potential infiltration on A8 to A2 type of setup to attack the queen. That's the whole basis idea there. So that's the reason I did the 0 points is this is where he wants to go. That's his end result. He wants all this diagonal, all this rank just for the rook, and it's basically just to hold the position. So rook e1, queen e3, rook a2, and they've acquired their goal. But see, we're actually doing much better. We're getting ready to get our king involved, potentially with a king up the board, maybe even. And there, this is to attack the bishop. We attack the queen. Queen moves back. And now we're preparing to attack the queen here and bring the queen in here, having this come there. Oops. And this come here. So this bishop was to come, and then let me see, alternate, and this queen wants to go there. So you want this bishop there, and you want this queen here, so that this queen would have to move at this point, and then this queen could come in to mate on g7. Rook e3. This is to try to kick the knight out. Now that the rook saw this idea, so that's why he retreated back. Only defense is rook there. So that was critical that it had a defense. Rook e3 takes, knight takes, and then now he wants to reroute in via. He wants to keep the pressure on. Potentially, maybe even playing there to actually attack the knight and the pawn, trying to get some pressure. And so this knight just comes in and says, "You ain't gonna have any." And the only way to stop this would be knight there. That's the only way to stop this here. Knight takes. b5 is actually a really good move, really good. It removes the defender of this. This is black wants to go here with all of its might with the rook, which takes. Rook e1. Pawn takes. Good move, because now this is playable. This was a mistake. That was a mistake. But white played a mistake too. White should have tried bishop e7 here. But I guess you have to be careful, because the idea behind this is to attack this pawn. So maybe queen f4 is the best move in this line. I'm thinking queen f4 with infiltration there. So the king's gonna have to beat and run basically at this point, because the idea is coming in, and the queen could come back. So the queen could potentially come back. And I guess maybe you do have a perpetual if you wanted to. This could be perpetual, and then back here, and then here would be the perpetual check. I mean, perpetual idea of infiltrating in via there. But f4, a little too over happy, because you're setting up, I understand, for this, but you also have queen d7, bishop there, takes. This is a forced move, because now you have infiltration there. You can't play here anymore. Takes, takes. he pushes here, he comes there and he'll stop it. Check. And now we get in behind the pawn. G3, D, and then H. Now we're going to come in and gobble these up here after the rook. Let's say that this is the idea, and this is the idea over there. This is if he is to take here, we'd take here, and if he pushes, we would grab here, and at this point we have enough counterplay with this pawn to merit winning. So this would actually be a blunder here, and this right here would be a good move because you're not worried about it. King takes, rook takes, and now there's really no way to stop. There's no way to stop, and white wins in this line. Because what the king will eventually do is implant itself on f6 and wait till this moves, and you can even walk around and get your king involved via the dark squares, and you're good at that point. Let's see here. We need to go over a game. Which one of the games do you want to go over? This one here? Do you want to go over Morphy versus John Jacobs, or do you want to go over? Let me see. What's this one? Oh, it's the same. I think it's the same one, isn't it? Do you want to go over this now, or do you want to do it later? Okay. Good. All right. Just want to make sure I get this inputted in. Hold on, just give me a sec and then we'll get started in our puzzles. So that so I don't have to do it when we will have it then. Perfect. Come on. Come on. There we go. Now we're in it. We have a potential rook f6. If king d7, we have rook d1 check. if king c8, we have rook takes. Actually, I should do bishop takes at that point. Bishop takes e6, and that would be check. Oops, sorry. Bishop takes e6 check. b6 check there, and let's see, what could he play here? If he doesn't go c8, but he goes c6, probably rook takes e6 would be good in this line here. That'd be check. I forgot check again. Bishop b4 check. I think potentially c5 could be played there. Potentially c5. I was looking at potentially bishop f6 check. That does pick up a pawn, a rook, but and maybe rook e1 is a playable move too. Rook e1 might be playable. Kind of pulled between like three different moves. Like there's rook f6, rook e1, or bishop f6 check. Those are the three moves I was thinking about. Probably rook d6 would probably be his line. King d6, and he's picked up a piece for a pawn. Trying to figure out. This is kind of a tough one. What type of see, we can use pins. We can actually use a pin. See, a lot of the tactics that we're going to be using are pins in this one. So think kind of pins. Like rook f6 fails to knight. Knight could actually go to F7 or F8. So that kind of doesn't work the way we would like it. We do have an idea of rook E1. That's a pin. And then if king D7, we actually have rook F6 that could be played. And if king C7, we have bishop takes E6 check. We pick up material, but I'm trying to figure out, is there any way that we can do anything besides just winning material in that line? We could win. We could just win a plain old rook too. The idea is this: bishop F6 check, king D7, bishop takes E6 check. If rook takes E6, then we play bishop takes D8. So we can't do that. Bishop F6 check. Oops. King D7. Bishop takes E6. King takes E6. Then we can actually play bishop takes D8, rook takes D8, and rook E1 check, and then basically we force him to walk over. So I'm thinking that this is the move here. Bishop takes knight. The other lines don't bring us about anything. Let's see what tactics we used. Okay, we had bishop pair, decoy, deflection, double rooks, hanging pieces, remove the defender, skewer, vulnerable king, and Zugzwang. So, because if we go back here, we'll get to be able to see what we're talking about. So this was the vulnerable king. This was the skewer we were talking about. This was the removing of the guard to attack this knight here. And let me see. Zugzwang was the king had to move into that position. And basically we have two bishops. So we have our two bishops and our rooks. So that's the whole line that they were talking about. And Zugzwang means that wherever he moves, he loses. So it didn't matter if he moved on the dark squares or the light squares, he was going to lose a rook. One way was going to be that he was going to do a check, or he's going to have to move his rook. Either way, he's losing. So it's not good for him, our opponent, I mean. Okay, dokie. Let's see if we played queen. If we play queen a4 check, king we go to e7. Rook takes e3. Rook takes e3. Bishop takes e3. Queen takes e4. We'll say d takes e4, and f takes e3. We're up a whole pawn. Could we actually just do queen e2 though? Queen e2 handles a lot of that problem. It pins the knight to the queen. But all the knight has to do then is move knight g4. Yeah, queen e2, knight g4, and we don't really have anything. Oh, that works too. So do you think it's queen a4 check then? You think it's this line? Right here? You think it's this line then? Because we're up a whole passed pawn in that line. Oh. No, not there. Huh, what are we missing? What am I missing here? I'm not sure on this. Let me see. Oh, okay. What was this line here? Okay. Defense, fork, double attack, pass pawn, pin, skewer, vulnerable king, zook swamp. Is this a good tactic? I'm not sure. See here. I'll show you our idea. This would have given us a pass pawn. This was our idea here. After king moves, you can actually play takes, bishop takes, queen takes. Oh, he takes here. Okay. Sneaky, sneaky. D7. And then you take there. Okay. Takes here and you take and you're up. So A3, king F, F7, and then you just take there. You pick up a piece in that line. Okay. I have to be on the lookout for that. Ay, that was a hanging piece. I gotta remember. Let me see here. We almost have a we have a queen that's guarding that. So. Wow, we're down a tremendous amount of material. So is there any mate threats here? Let's see. Rook takes d4. Queen takes e2. Actually, I'm thinking pawn takes. I think we win our material back with interest. I'm sorry, I am a mistake there. That was a mistake on my part. It's c takes d4. Queen takes e2. Queen takes e2. And then d takes c3. And I think at the end of the line we have equal material. Is that enough though, compensation? Oh, wait a second. I think we have a better line than c takes d4. Queen takes e2. Bishop d takes c3. Queen takes e7. Bishop c takes come on, c takes b2 check. King e2. And then b takes a1 equals queen. I think this is it here. Who in the world would find bishop e6? Ay. That's interesting. So let's see here. Rook. The king has I think the king has to move if I'm not mistaken. The h8. The rook move just loses. Yeah, I think king h8's forced. I'll show you the line though, it's really cool. It uses a intermezzo setup here. If queen takes here, thinking this might be losing if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think this might. I don't think we could take yet. I think we'd have to come back and grab this. Then rook a b1, knight h5, bishop takes, king h8, and knight e3, and then bishop goes to. Oh gee, this picks up a knight there. King e3. Knight takes. If rook takes, then king takes, and we've won a whole boatload of material. If he takes there, we take back, and we're the ones with the two pieces at that point. He may get a pawn, but then we check with our bishop, and we're covering this pawn here. And we also now can pick these off, even if we sacrifice this for all these pawns. Even if we sacrifice this for these three pawns, there's still a whole piece and a pawn up. So you gotta love that. And let's see what this one was. Okay, a battery. That's a tactic. Bishop here, defense, passed pawn, and pin. This is the pin here. Hold on, let me see. Why did the rook take the pawn? Let me see here. Okay. So here, 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 up, there, knight here. Okay, you're asking bishop takes, king there, knight e6, knight g, king e3, knight takes. Well, I guess bishop c3 could be played. Bishop e4, I mean, could be playable. And then at this point, if he takes here, if we can actually play check, and then king would go to king could actually come over. Oops, actually can't come there or there or there. So he has to come back, and then we pick up a piece. Why did the rook take the pawn instead of the knight? Oh, you mean why did the bishop take? Why did the bishop take rather than the knight? Oh, I got you. Oh, here you're talking about here. Okay. Oh, you actually pick up a. You're attacking here, and you're attacking there at the same time. So the only way to get this out from an attack is to actually take there. Is that he comes up and we grab a piece via there. Bishop e6 and here, knight f, there, there, and we're up a whole piece. Did I answer the question? Oh no. 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 We're just we're up a whole piece here, and he's in deep trouble now because we actually are the one with the move, and we're up a piece. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay. We will continue on, and we should try to name the tactics that we're doing. Like, we are trying potentially to back rank mate our opponent. And look at all the pawns. This is total greed. This is Yazir would love Yazir Sarawant would love this position. Look how many pawns black has. But the problem is he's going to be perpetually checked. He has we have perpetual check. We have rook d8, rook d8 check. King has to go to e7. We have rook d7 check. He has king e6, and then we have rook e1 check. Rook has to at this point intercept on e5, and I'm not sure if he can escape at that point. I don't think he can. Oh, wait a second. I think we can win the rook. Hold on. My bad. I think we can actually win this rook. Rook, let's start here. Good, it saves me a lot of writing. King e7. Oops, king e6, sorry. That's funny. Trying to figure out if he walks up the board, we potentially can win the rook. See, d8, there, check. There, check. He goes to e7 again. Yeah, I think this is forced. I think we get perpetual here if I'm not mistaken. So rook d5 check. If king goes to e4, check. He comes over, check. Pick up some. This. We're in perpetual. There's no way to win this. Yep, exactly. Isn't that's like so sad. Let's see what tactics they used here. Okay, defense, endgame tactics, pass pawns, perpetual check, and rook on the 7th. That's pretty cool. So knight f5. There's c7. There's f7. F7 is an interesting move. If knight takes, then we have a check with our queen. Actually, no, we don't have a check with our queen. Push onward. Okay, I think I got it here. I'm looking at this here. Our 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 shining hope is f7. F7. If knight takes h4, we have knight g5. Knight g5. If rook takes g5, we have queen to d4, and that wins. Check. So f7. If rook takes the bishop, then knight takes, and so it's still a problem either way. Yeah, I'm liking f7. I'm thinking that's. Oh no, no. What is it? Is it this? No, it's not that either. What am I missing here? Huh. Go figure. Okay, because if here, let's say, oh, the pawn can't take because of, drat. So it's a pin. Darn it, I didn't see that pin. So it's the bishop pair fork, double attack, and pass pawn, but I think they're missing one. We used a pin. There was a pin involved. A relative pin. So they actually they slightly missed this pin here. There's no way for us to take it. And then we had a fork, and then we win the queen. I'm trying to figure out how do we infiltrate in here. Let's see if we go d4, king takes d4, knight takes knight f4. So okay, I'm looking at this here. So d3, or sorry, d4 check, king takes d4, knight f4. If rook g4, Hey Murphy, are you there, bro? You can we need some lines, some endgame lines. Let's do it. We could do this as a team. I'm thinking maybe the knight g5 might be an idea, but maybe. Knight c4, rook d5. Yeah, if he plays d5, knight c4 check. If king f6, we have to figure out what does he do at that point. You have to always consider what does he do on knight f. And then there's also knight c4 check, king d4 too as well. I like it too. I think it's the best. Oh, so nope. Not there. Not there. Huh. Let's see here. Okay, dokie. Alright, I think I got it. Queen g3. Queen g3. and then if we get a move, it'll be rook takes rook takes h3 would be our next move. Check. See, queen g3. See if queen f1. Oh, I got it. Queen g3. If queen f1, we have bishop d6. Bishop d6 would be an interesting idea. And then if queen g1, we actually could play rook takes h3 at that point, and then h3 check. So these two lines are a potential line. This is one line, so I have to, and then we pick up material. So I'm liking this here. Oh, so the queen went back. Okay. That was the line we were looking at. So now we have to so rook takes h3, g takes h3, queen takes h3 check, rook h2. So that's not playable. See, bishop d6. I like bishop d6 here. I'm thinking that's the move. That's killer. Bishop d6. Yeah. Let's see, what are the things? Okay. Attacking the castle king, mate in 3 plus, mating net, and vulnerable king. King b3 is interesting. I'm looking at would king a3 be? I'm looking at king b3, queen. No, she could. They'd actually be able to check and then slide over. So king a3, king a3. We don't. They don't have really any checks. Well, I guess they do have a check. Queen to g3, queen g3 check. Rook f3. F3, then queen d6. Queen d6 check. Oops. Yeah, I think this. I don't think that's right. What's it? King a3. Hold on. King a3. Queen g3 check. Knight. Knight b3 check. King b1. And then rook to f1 mate. It is king a3. Oh, snap. Ah, darn it. Darn it, that's so close. Dang it. I thought I saw, and we had it right. This here, here, and then mate. What was the move sequence? Basic checkmates, end games, mate 3, and a pin. C3 allowed for a check. Yeah. That was my fault there on that. I was so close. I didn't see that he can actually come up. We did have the right move. We saw the right move. I was so excited on finding that. See, queen takes h3 check. Let's imagine. So queen takes. I can only imagine. Takes h7. Queen takes h7. Check. King takes h7. So we are up one pawn. But is it worth the pawn? see, queen takes h3, queen h2. Oh, we actually pick up a rook in that line. Okay, so rook e3. Rook e3 is interesting. Knight g5. Rook g3 check. King f2. Do we just plain old take the knight though? What do you think, Henry? Do you think we should just take the knight with the queen? Or take it with the king? Yeah, I want to keep with the king. I'm wondering if we could check on e3 though. Queen e3 check, queen takes e3, pawn takes e3. I'm wondering if it's not queen e3, e3 check, queen takes e3. If the king, let's say the queen doesn't take, let's say the king moves to g2, king g2, we can always play we can always take the queen with check at that point. But I want to try to get a passed pawn if I can't. Yeah, I'm liking queen e3, but probably that's not. No, so king takes. Nope. So what is it then? You're kidding me. Oh, that's strange. Ah. Uh, okay. I'm thinking about, oh yeah, might have to check, that's right, let me see there. Because our rook's under fire, isn't it? What if we, I'm wondering if this might not win us something though. Knight takes d1. Rook takes rook. If the bishop knight takes c1. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I was looking at, and I'm gonna go with that. I like that idea. And then now we can actually grab the bishop, I believe here. Yeah, that wins material. Actually, it was full of a mate. We would have made if he hadn't have done that. We wouldn't have mated him. It was actually that wasn't too bad actually. Not too bad at all. Let me see here. So bishop takes f7, king takes f7, rook takes. Yeah. There we go. That wasn't much of a puzzle, but hey. Let's see here. A2, rook B1, king A3, king of king C3. We queen A1 equals queen check. So there is king A2, rook H2 check. So I'm not sure if that's actually a good move. We get our pawn one step closer. We could actually turn it into a knight if he goes to excuse me. Ah. If he goes C2, We can actually go a1 equals knight check 2 as well, and kind of do something like that. I'm thinking it's a2 because no, okay. That's interesting. See, a2, rook check, king here, c2, knight check. Ah, it leads to mate. Stalemate. Oh boy, this is kind of interesting. Let's see here. Let's see, a5. Now you gotta figure a5. Yeah. a5. h5. f5, h5. G takes h5. g6. G takes h6. Or sorry, f takes h6. King takes e6. a4. King d7. h3. e6. h2. e7. Check. King g7. e8 equals queen. h1 equals queen. But I don't think we win anything in that. I think it's a draw. Okay. If takes here, I think it's losing. I think we're losing at that point. Oh, it's a draw. Okay. So in-game tactics, pawn, and Zook Swamp. Okay, be blessed. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's see here. Bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop takes d5, c takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes a2, knight takes e7, king h8, knight takes f5. Huh. Man, what am I not seeing here? I'm missing some sort of simple tactic here. Ah, the knight moves. That's it. Knight here. Nope. Knight takes. Bummer. Let's get back to 2300. The joke is there's no place like 2300. Let's see. C4. Okay, knight d5 is interesting for sure. Knight d5. If rook g3. Oh, well, he has to give way, and then when he does, we take the pawn. Okay. Oh. Nothing there. Not that side. Is it this side then? Ah. Here, sorry. There we go. I was looking at this here. F7. Rook takes. King C, C4. King H2. We're still up a pawn. If he comes here, you'd have to go D8. So you're still good. So, all right. Let's rock and roll. Let's do this thing. Let me see here. Knight d5. Which if the queen at what h5? So knight d5, queen h5. If the queen goes back, okay, it's knight d5. There we go. Bishop e5, queen b4, and bishop takes c2. We win a bishop. Let's do it. We take here, then we take there. The A rook has to come over and guard, because if we bring the other one over, the bishop would take the pawn, and we don't want that. There we go. Just you gotta stay patient, calm, collect, and we got this. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Knight G7, check. King E5. So there's nothing there. Da dum 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 dum. Let's see here. How do we do? We have to. Ooh, interesting. East E4. Huh. E4. No, we don't want E4. Let's see here. Knight G7. King E5. Nothing after that. Knight D6. King E5. So knight D6. King E5. Knight F7, check. F7, check. King back. Knight check. King there. Knight check. And we push here, then we have check. Check. Knight check. Comes here. Knight check. And we got him. I think we'll probably stop here. This is a good spot to actually call it. That was pretty fun. So do you have any questions before I log off? I'll give you a minute if you do. And we'll actually go over this game here before we go. let's see, how many moves is this in? That's only 25. And then it'll give you guys a second if you had any questions too. E6, D4, D5, E takes D5, E takes D5, Knight F3, Knight F6, Bishop D3, Bishop E6, and castle. So Morphy's actually playing, it looks like more of a modern type of game nowadays how he's playing. Not the all in Morphy that I like to see. But he always sets up for, and sometimes he makes positions look like that, and then without you even knowing it, it's kaboom, you're done. F4. Thanks. Up. Because he actually got rid of our bad bishop, so we should thank our opponent for that. Queen there. F. Bishop A, B1. Castles. Queen side. D. And then now they missed, this is actually a really family fork type of setup here. But remember that Morphy wants to go for the KO, so even if he takes there, we're having a pretty big attack there. If he comes back, the king has to come up. Check. Checkmate. So Morphy had that all planned out. Check. Bishop there, and that was a blunder. That trapped his only flight square. Bishop takes Kazam. He should have tried something like that maybe, but he does lose a rook. Actually, a couple rooks. And he's up a whole rook in that line. It's like, yeah. So now if the king moves here, this he has to block, and then a rook would take at this point. If I was Morphy, that's what I would take with. This is like crushing right here, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you move your queen trying to like something here, you're just gonna get smashed with that. Wham! When you take up, you get checkmated. You can even get smashed another way. It's this. Checkmate. If he takes, checkmate. If he comes up here, let me see here. Yeah, I think we already did that checkmate. I think there's really only 3 checkmates that would arise out of that. So, no questions? Alrighty then. I will take that as a no. I wanted to thank you all for logging on. Remember that life is about treasuring your victories and learning from your losses. Think positive is very important. Remember that mistakes do not define you. It's how you handle the mistakes in the middle of a storm, my friends. Because you know what? We were like down to like 2288. Now we're back up to 2306. And that shows you within a couple moves you can have your points back. You just have to be patient. You have to focus down. And you got to make sure you see it. Don't overthink it. And if you think it's the best move, and you have a gut instinct that it is, go for it, do it. Because in games like a blitz game or a rapid game, Nakamura plays good moves if he doesn't see the best moves, because it puts the time right back in his opponents on their clock. They're not thinking on his time. He played Duda in that, and he would always, when Duda got to like 4 or 5 seconds, he would play good moves. He'd play a move, and then it would go back to his opponent's clock, Duda, and he would play. A couple times he made a mistake because he only had 3 or 4 or 5 seconds on the clock, and you just got to have confidence. You have to go with your gut in some moves sometimes, even if they're wrong. It doesn't mean that it's not the best move. It doesn't mean it's not a good move. It's just not the best move that the puzzle calls for. So never think negative about that your move's bad. You can always find out why it's not the correct move, and then you can learn why it's not the correct move and take something away from that. That's the whole point about the puzzles, is to improve and learn. We have to take what we know and apply it and be willing and do it. That's the whole thing. If we don't, then you know what? Why do we do puzzles if we don't take what we learn and apply it? I mean, it's like you're not always going to get them all right. You're never going to get every one puzzle right. Eventually, you'll start to see patterns. You'll get to a certain percentage. Even the super grandmasters make mistakes and sometimes blunders in their moves. So they're human. As long as you're a human, you're going to you're going to make mistakes. The only one who doesn't make mistakes is the Lord. So we have to keep that in mind. He's the one that we serve. He's the one that we should always be striving to honor and glorify. And as always, we need to not let the thorny ground in our lives, like things in our lives, drain all the time, that we should be studying and improving. And to always, like on Meet the Robinsons, keep moving forward. I keep saying that. You're like, why do you keep saying that? Because it's important. Cornelius in the movie, what they did was one thing. He had a museum of all his, people would say, failures. No, all of his learning experiments. He learned something new every time from something that didn't work. It was, I believe, Einstein that, or Edison, I believe. Sorry, Edison. They asked him. I believe they said it was 1,000. It took him 1,000 times to create the light bulb. But what he said, they asked him, but what about all those 99 times that you failed? He says, I didn't fail. I found 999 different ways not to make a light bulb, and I learned from each one. So take that to heart when you make a row of mistakes and you feel like, should I continue to do them? Yes, continue to do them. Find out where you made a mistake and learn. And keep moving forward. And what do we always have to do? We hang up our coat, we hang up our hat, we sit down and study. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it doesn't mean you're going to get them all right. Remember that. You study. People like chess players think, oh, if I sit down and study, I'm never going to get any one wrong. No, you're going to get thousands of problems wrong before you get the tens of thousands right. Like, think about a lot of players have lost many a games. They don't have their greatest losses as a book. Some do. Some do have the greatest losses, and they have kind of. I think they've matured to actually been able to put that out there as a book. But a lot of them present their greatest victories. But if you look back maybe 10 years or so, you would see how many losses that they had to actually learn from before they got those greatest victories. So just keep moving forward, my friends, and never give up. Yeah. As Wesley so says, Sir the Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless. I'll see you guys next time with on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening, and Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll keep pushing forward and striving for that 2400 marker. Yeah, we're back in the 2300 club. We could do it. We solved that really long night study. If we could do that, we can do anything. Yeah. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Hoorah. Be blessed. Keep studying. Remember, you wanna learn as far as fast as you can, so you can win as much as you can too. So keep pushing forward. Always remember that. Learn as fast as you can so you can win as fast as you can. Hey, go Team Chess Cruncher. Hoorah. Be blessed. Okay. Have fun with chess. Bye bye.